Hello guys, welcome to Top Anime Sensei. This video is the continuation video after Enemy of Tempest. So if you have not watched it, then please watch it. The link is in the description. So without any further delay, let's start. But before we start, please like, subscribe and press the bell icon for more updates. To that end, I requested for there to be an emergency call whenever Gozer or Mezer were defeated. That brought us to the reason why Beretta called me. So, how's the situation? Yes sir, there were 3 people who broke through, and all of them are unique skill holders. I wondered if they might be acquaintances, but my guess was quickly proven wrong. It only took 3 to defeat Gozer and they all possessed unique skills. Moreover, they weren't even active dungeon challengers, but rather newbies that recently made an appearance. I wouldn't have questioned it during peace times, but given the current situation on the eve of war, there was a strong possibility that they were spies who had taken the bait. It was necessary to investigate this thoroughly. Thus, I stopped the plan to test the surveillance magic, and headed to the control room of the labyrinth. I walked in and saw Ramirez and Veldora. It seemed like Dino and Vesta were taking a break today. Never mind Dino. Vesta had been looking tired these days, so I wanted him to get some rest. Ramirez and Veldora were always full of energy. The concept of fatigue likely didn't apply to them. They had that unlimited child energy. As long as they were doing something they were interested in, they could keep going all day. "Ah, Commander, you're here," Ramirez exclaimed. "The situation remains unchanged for now." I didn't know what was going on to begin with. She was probably just saying whatever fit the mood. I then turned my eyes towards the video shown on the huge screen. It displayed 3 youngsters. It appeared as though they were conquering one floor after another at breakneck speed, and their fighting style was quite distinctive. One man moved his arms through the air, as if he were throwing something, and it apparently had some significant power behind it. Was this like a compressed air bullet? It sure wasn't possible with mere human strength. He was a tall man of stout build, with brown hair. He had a chiseled face and stood out among them wearing his jeans and tank top. Yep, jeans and a tank top. That alone convinced me we had an otherworlder on our hands. Let me take a look at the other 2. There was a short and skinny man clad in a black robe, and another was a young man wearing a white coat over chainmail. White coat. Yeah, a white coat. The conventional type you'd see in labs and hospitals. However, in this world it wasn't exactly conventional. That guy's face looked distinctly East Asian, and undoubtedly Japanese. Apart from the black-robed man, I thought the tank top guy and lab coat guy were both otherworlders. Anyway, looking at the huge screen, I could see that they were still fighting. This time they were up against a big group. 6 Death Wolves had joined the fray and were assaulting the trio. The Death Wolves quickly closed the distance at a speed that ordinary humans couldn't react to. They were obviously smart enough to realize that they had to get in close if they wanted to stand a chance. Beyond the 50th floor, even the riffraff had moderately high intelligence. By the way, a single Death Wolf was ranked B+, so if 6 of them were in a pack, things could get ugly fast. Moreover, since it was a dead spirit, it had the characteristic of being immune to physical attacks, unless they were from a holy weapon or a magic weapon. Because their bodies were constructed of magicules, they could regenerate them immediately, even if they were splattered to bits. These were some wicked monsters that wouldn't go down without you taking the right steps to counter them. One mistake and they'd eat you alive. But don't underestimate me, you damn mutts. Hee-ah, roared the brown-haired guy who had previously been throwing air. This time, he was charging with the terrifying Bardich held high, and brought it down in a wide arc. With a deafening thud, 3 Death Wolves turned into light particles and disappeared. Oh, that's it. No wonder the terrifying axe looked familiar. It was Minos' Bardich. When it came to unique grade weapons, they, needless to say, had magical powers. In other words, it was a kind of magic weapon, and even the dead spirits could be damaged. The weapon's magical power alone was enough to wound a monster. More to the point, Minos' Bardich was forged out of a very special alloy. As I recall, it was made from mithril, which was a custom alloy combining silver with magisteel. It was a holy type weapon, which inflicted extra damage to dead spirits and the undead. "Ah," I muttered. "With Minos' Bardich, the Death Wolves are dead meat." "Yeah, that weapon was the one dropped by Gozer," Veldora pointed out. "This guy here seems to be a pretty sharp fighter, swinging that axe like he's practiced for years with it." As we stood there watching their fight, they filled me in on what happened until today. I had a sudden craving for potato chips right about now. By the sound of things, the brown-haired guy had been the one taking out all of the monsters, and from what I saw, I could definitely believe it. That guy was a beast. But then, what happened to all the traps? Regarding that, the black-robed guy discovered them immediately and informed his friends of their positions. Floor 51 was where the most insidious, meanest traps started coming into play, which could kill you on the spot. As I watched, the black-robed guy pointed at the exact places where the traps were hidden. That was his unique skill. His role was vital for conquering the labyrinth. The lab coat guy himself had only engaged once so far. It was in their fight against Gozer. Veldora's explanation didn't make sense, so I asked Raphael Sin to read the past records from the dungeon. Whatever had happened, it must have been strange indeed. He took out a syringe from his inside pocket and injected his friends with 2 shots. Immediately afterwards, Gozer's movements became sluggish. Did he give them some kind of state-changing stuff? Answer: it is poison. According to the analysis result, the attack that individual Gozer received contained a neurotoxin. The room was filled with poisonous gas, inhibiting movements of individuals who are not resistant to it. Currently, there is no such effect in place. The lame Gozer was a great target for the brown-haired dude, but it was the lab coat guy who delivered the final blow. He took out a shiny silver scalpel from his pouch and slit Gozer's jugular vein with expert precision. This guy was the leader of the 3, not because he hung back most of the time, but because he was playing the role of their commander. And he was also skilled. It seemed that the spearheading, brown-haired man could focus on his attacks, since he knew that the lab coat guy could defend himself if push came to shove. They appeared to be a good, well-balanced party. Just then, I heard a knock on my door. The door opened quietly and Shuna entered. She brought the papers which had the registration information of these 3 people. This is the registration form of those 3 collected at the time of their entry to Tempest. With a bow, Shuna handed me the papers. Shinji, 23 years old. Magician. Mark, 26 years old. Warrior. Zin, 17 years old. Hunter. Their names and occupation were briefly recorded on this piece of paper. Their hometown was a little country within the empire. It said that they had come to this country to challenge the dungeon, about which they had heard a lot of rumors from the merchants. Well, that was clearly a load of bullshit. Raphael San showed me the results of the trio's analysis. And just like Beretta had said, they all possessed unique skills. Those 3 had formed a party and came here together. So, it was simply absurd to take anything written on this paper at face value. The jobs that they had written here were also very fishy. Being a magician was a high-class career that entailed mastery over 2 or more types of magic. In Shinji's case in particular, he had apparently learned both spirit magic and elemental magic. The guy did have noteworthy talent. The same applied to warriors, who must master weaponry and hand-to-hand combat skills. In this case, proficiency in at least one basic martial art and weapon class was to be expected. There were several weapon categories to choose from, ranging from sword fighting, archery, and in some cases, throwing arts, which included knife throwing and stone throwing. You just had to pick the one that suited you best. The essence of the art of weaponry was the path towards mastering that weapon of choice. In the case of Mark, he was evidently good at hand-to-hand combat, throwing, and fighting with a spear, a jack of all trades. Lastly, hunters were said to be the cream of the crop among those who dispatched monsters. You had to master the type of archery that specialized in using the traditional bow and formhide, an art that was very difficult to handle. Furthermore, you had to master the danger detection skill, and thus talent alone was not enough to get a job as a hunter. It was the most reliable occupation among the members of subjugation guilds. In this world, hardly anyone had the abilities to discover traps and monsters, which were skills essential for exploration. As such, people who could be hunters were very few, to the point that they were only born from tribes that specialized in hunting, so that made the career harder to achieve. Those 3 with rather rare jobs had arrived as a party. They were practically begging me to suspect them. Those 3 must be spies who took the bait, I proposed. Yes, however, would they really blow their cover this blatantly? Diablo commented, showing up out of nowhere. He had been consulting with me on the development of my magic, and was looking forward to experimenting with the new surveillance system, but was distraught about the current interruption. He looked like he was about to take out his resentment on the 3 people on the screen. but I guess he figured out the right call. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. And if you guys have not watched my other videos, then please watch them. The links are in the description. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and press the bell icon so you don't miss the updates.